Kejōrō translates as hairy prostitute. She is found near brothels and in red light districts. Her diet consists of eating young virile men. Kejōrō is a prostitute whose face and body are hidden behind a curtain of long, matted black hair. She appears in red light districts and brothels. In most stories, it is only the hair on her head that is disturbingly thick and long, but in some stories, her whole body is covered in thick hair, like some kind of beast. Kejōrō is the living embodiment of the pretty from the back, ugly from the front phenomenon that almost everyone has encountered at least once in their life. You get drawn in by a spectacle of Calipigian splendor and really nice hair, then you run around to see the face that must accompany that body only to see a horror show. There have been disagreements over the years exactly what a Kejōrō is, a woman with a lot of hair that cascades over her body, or a strange creature made entirely of hair with no body underneath. She has been depicted both ways, largely at the personal preference of the artist. From the sachet of those hips and the long, cascading raven black hair, you know that you have found a rare beauty. You have only seen her from behind, but you must have her. So you rush to grab her and spin her around only to be confronted by something out of your nightmares: no face, no nose, no eyes, no lips. Just a mass of that same raven black hair pouring out at you. Only then do you know that this was no sensuous lady of the evening, but an encounter with the Kejōrō. A Kejōrō's victims are the young men who frequent brothels and red light districts. Thinking he sees a girl that he recognizes from behind, a man runs up to the Kejōrō to speak with her. When she turns around, her face and body are covered by a thick mat of hair, hiding all of her features. Her victim is shocked by the horrible, hairy monster in front of him, giving her time to attack her victim, tangling him up in her hair and using it to slice him up. Despite this, reports of Kejōrō-related fatalities are very rare. Despite her horrible appearance to humans, the Kejōrō is said to be quite popular with yokai. So popular, in fact, that male yokai frequently fight each other over her, competing for her affection. Kejōrō seem to return this devotion as well. In some stories, a Kejōrō will cut off her hair and send it to her lover, human or yokai, or tattoo his name into her skin to prove her undying devotion to him. The earliest records of Kejōrō go back to Toriyama Seikien's 100 Demons of the Past and Present. The story given by Sekine is almost exactly as described in the opening. A man is venturing into the Yoshiwara red light district one evening, when he sees a prostitute walking down the street. From the rear, he recognizes her as one of his favorites, and so rushes up to claim her. When she turns around, she reveals her entire body is made up of hair, with no skin visible. Toriyama may have been influenced by a similar monster from Chinese mythology, called the Hair Woman. The Hair Woman is also made up entirely of hair, although she does not have the same connection to the red light district and prostitution. She comes from an old Chinese book, a grand view of literary sketchbooks in the past dynasties. It is not known if Toriyama was familiar with her or not when creating the Kejōrō. More likely Toriyama was making some sort of commentary on the red light district, or playing word games with popular slang of the time. Many feel the Kejōrō falls under the Nopperabo category, a startling yokai that appears to be one thing that is actually another. There are many variations on the Nopperabo story in Japan, all based on expectations and the shock of something ordinary turning out to be something extraordinary. There is some debate over his original description as to whether the Kejōrō has a normal face under the mat of hair, or whether she is a faceless monster, related to the Nopperabo or the Ohaguro Bateri. It is thought that their origins may stem from the Edo period, where prostitutes were bought and sold like property, and their only real hope was that a client would fall in love with them and buy them out of their contract and take them home as a wife. There were some happy endings, but just as often something got in the way. The man already had a wife, or couldn't afford to purchase the woman entirely. In these cases shinju, meaning double suicide, was often the only way out. But sometimes the love was one-sided, a prostitute who fell so deeply in love with her client that she refused other customers. In these cases, there were rituals, known collectively as shinjutate, which means standing your true heart, that she could perform to make herself unattractive to new customers. One of the shinjutate was to shave off all of your hair, and tattoo the client's name prominently on your body. This self-marked a prostitute, making her useless to her owner. But not all of these gestures were faithfully rewarded. Some women performed the shinjutate for men whose affections were not so faithful. Some yokai researchers and storytellers imagined this hair, shorn off as symbol of love that was betrayed, taking on a life of its own to become the Kejōrō. In one origin story of the Kejōrō, there was a couple that fell in love, but they were forbidden to be together. The young woman's father would not approve of their match because the young man was poor and worked as a laborer. After the father caught the couple secretly meeting up, he placed his daughter in a tower and forbade anyone but a servant girl to see her. The young woman was beautiful with long flowing black hair. In protest of her father's decision, She cut all of her hair off and had the servant girl take it to her love. The young woman then carved her lover's name on her head, making it impossible for her father to give her as a bride to another man. The father, enraged by his daughter's actions, found the young man and murdered him. Upon hearing of her lover's death, the young woman jumped from the tower and to her death. She is said to have become a Kejōrō that haunts the areas of the city where her lover once lived. The next time you see a woman with long flowing hair from the back, you may want to keep your distance until you approach her, or you could be the next victim of the Kejōrō.